Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Healthy Rebel Speaks Out, where we are going to dive in to the world of holistic health and wellness. And today we have an exceptional guest joining us, Dr. Monisha Bhanote, MD. I'm not reading all the other letters. Okay. She is not just a physician. She is a trailblazer in the field of integrative medicine, functional culinary medicine, cytopathology, and anatomic clinical pathology. Her credentials are nothing short of remarkable, with quintuple medical board certifications that distinguish her among the nation's luminaries. Dr. Bhanote's brainchild, WELLKULÅ, embodies a fusion of ancient wisdom and contemporary mind-body science, offering a path to holistic health optimization that's both visionary and transformative. She is a proud alumni of Binghamton University, holding dual degrees in chemistry and Asian studies, which have undoubtedly contributed to her unique perspective on health. Dr. Bhanote's medical journey has taken her through rigorous residencies and coveted fellowships, including those at NYU, Winthrop University Hospital, Cornell, the University of Rochester, and the esteemed Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine in Arizona. But that's not all. Dr. Bhanote's commitment to holistic health extends beyond conventional medicine. She's attended certifications in mindfulness-based stress reduction, plant-based medicine, culinary medicine, Ayurveda, and yoga, where she is a yoga medicine therapeutic specialist. Her dedication to nurturing the body, mind, spirit shines through. With a global footprint, Dr. Bhanote propounds transformative health paradigms through her platform, drbhanote.com. She is featured in renowned publications like Shape, Reader's Digest, Martha Stewart Living, and her insight-enriched platforms like Healthline, Psych Central, and Medical News Today. So if you are ready to embark on a journey of holistic health and wellness like never before, please stay tuned as we delve deep into the world of integrative medicine with the incredible Dr. Bhanote.
Hello, Bonnie. Thank you so much for having me today on Healthy Rebels. I look forward to our conversation.
Well, thank you. So I guess I always like to begin just a little bit of what spiked your interest in being so passionate, because clearly this is, a life's work here.
It is a life's work, and people would think I actually like school, which I don't actually like school. I just really like having answers, and I feel like that there's just so much information out there, and really diving into what I feel can help people stay healthy and happy, and diving deep into that and understanding the human body on that level has really been one of the driving forces into this continued search on how can we live happier, healthier, longer lives.
Well, that is amazing. Well, first, I guess I'd like to ask you, maybe about your book, The Anatomy of Wellbeing. And we discussed a little bit about the rituals and the powers of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So my book, it's called, it's right here. It's The Anatomy of Wellbeing, Intentional Practices to Embrace Your Body's Unique Design and Revitalize Your Health. And the premise of the book is really twofold. One, it is to take you from mindless autopilot habits to really living your life intentionally and incorporating lifestyle rituals. And then you might go, all right, well, how do I even know what kind of rituals to incorporate? What, why should I have a morning ritual? Why should I have an evening ritual? Why should I have a weekend ritual? Like, what does that all even entail? And the beauty of rituals is, even before I tell you how to do it or why you would want to do it, is that for habits, habits always come with this negative connotation. It's like, oh, this is such a bad habit. I know I shouldn't do this. And oh, I'm just doing this again. I know it's bad for me. Whereas routines come from this almost mundane, like, oh yeah, I'm going to the gym, it's part of my routine, or I'm doing, this after work, it's part of my routine, but there's no full life out of it. And sometimes those routines and habits, the habits stick around for way long, but the routines just bore us out, and they could actually burn us out. So where rituals come with the highest degree of self-awareness and intention, and because you're placing intention around them, really, it's like rituals help you develop a deeper connection with yourself, because they're asking you and challenging you to think, what is truly important to you? Like what is going to make you happy? What is going to make you healthier? And so what I've done is taken the rituals that technically can be science backed, right? So I have over, more than, I think, 50 to 60 rituals in the book that are science backed, that can help improve cellular health. And that's the second premise of the book, is cellular health. Our ultimate being in our body is trillions and trillions of cells, right? So we want those human cells to stay happy and healthy as long as possible. But how do we do it? We do it with rituals. And which ones do we do? Well, that's based off of what aspect of your health you're focusing on, whether that's your nutrition, whether that's your movement, whether that's your sleep, whether that's your emotional well-being. So the book really dives into all the aspects that I believe kind of make your well-being compass, and really take center stage into how you can optimize your health.
Wow. Well, I can see how all of your experience really, of course, makes sense for this, like mindful-based stress reduction training, which is meditation for those people who don't know. I've actually taken the course myself, and it's wonderful. So just, I guess, talking about that, and I also think about us right now coming up on the major holiday season and perhaps stress. So maybe if you could give us an example just of that one ritual with stress meditation and what that would look like.
Yeah, so that's just one. Okay,
oh,
so
well,
there's a number.
So an example, so people.
Yeah, let me just start with an example, right? So it is holiday time, and these last 2 months of the year, one of the things that, if we didn't learn it before, we want to pay attention and learn it now, and that is mindful eating. Okay, and we never think about mindful eating. We're just like, oh, like our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. Everything looks amazing, and we want it, right? So mindful eating goes beyond just what we're eating. It's really about being present when you're consuming your food. It's about appreciating the flavors, the textures, and even listening to your body's hunger cues. Like, are you full? Are you not full? Did your body feel energized after this meal? Did your body feel lethargic after this meal? Did you wake up the next day with a headache? Did you go to sleep and then you had heartburn in the middle of the night? Really being mindful and making that association with what you are putting in your body and how it's making your body feel. And taking that a step further, when your body is not liking the food, whatever the food it is that you are eating, it will let you know. And there's signs there. And that's where I say your cells are talking to you. So your human cells are talking to you, and they're asking for #cell care. They're asking for your cells to be taken care of. So any symptoms you might be experiencing, whether that is bloating, indigestion, a headache, fatigue, that's your body talking to you, right? So, and your cells are just kind of whispering to you and saying, hey, this wasn't the best thing. Let's think about it next time. Let's see if we can make a better choice. So mindful eating, it's the practice can help in making better food choices. It can help in aiding digestion. It can help that your cells are receiving the nutrients that it needs, from the amount of antioxidants, omega-3s to essential vitamins and minerals, and ultimately provide the antioxidants and combat oxidative stress, which is that key factor in cellular aging and dysfunction, which is what we'd all love to avoid, right?
Sure. Well, one point that you mentioned that I just want to highlight, because I think it is so important, because a frequent complaint people have is feeling fatigued. And I think the more like what you're mentioning, as far as what they're eating and being mindful and realizing, okay, I ate this at this meal, and then 2 hours later, I needed a nap. Which obviously there could be many reasons. I mean, obviously carbs, but there can also be like an allergic response to something, just as an example. But I love this, because also a lot of people might have, longer term goals. But when you think about every day how you want to feel, I feel like that's where this mindfulness could really play in. And in our modern time where we're so distracted by things, I always tell people when they eat, like nothing else should happen. Right?
Yeah, we are definitely on autopilot these days, and I will say that doesn't make us happier people. I think if you actually look at the happiness scale in people who just aren't paying attention to what's going on, they haven't taken a moment to recognize or identify or be self-aware of what their needs are for their health in their body. So that's really why I love this concept of really taking these rituals that are so intentional. And the good part about rituals is because they're flexible, and you can wake up and be like, this is a ritual I need today based off of how you're feeling, as opposed to being so regimented in, oh, I need to go to the gym today because I need to lose 5 pounds. Like
Right.
it puts the power back in your hand. It puts the focus of what's important to you back in your hand. And it also doesn't make you feel like you failed, right? Because what happens when we set ourselves up for these goals and then we don't do them? Like, we just feel like worse. We feel like crap, right? Whereas rituals, they're so much more flexible and in tune with what we need at that time.
It's more self-care.
Well, self-care. But yes, self-care is self-care.
Self-care and self-care.
Yes.
But actually, I always say you have to take care of yourself. You're not going to have it to give to other people, but that is a hard one. I really would love to dive in to your functional culinary medicine. I am so interested in that. If you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So culinary medicine is a relatively new study of medicine, where we're really looking at how food and people's lifestyle practices and cultures and the way they incorporate food and from all different kinds of cultures affects health conditions. And there's so much science now on eating certain foods and what it does to chronic health conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even down to for athletes and that kind of stuff, right? Whereas functional medicine has its own world of, really looking at the root cause of health conditions, right? So if we combine this, I mean, essentially that's what I've done. I've coined the term functional culinary medicine. So if we combine looking at the root cause of what you're missing in your body, whatever those ingredients might be, whether they're certain vitamins, whether they're minerals, whether they're antioxidants, whether they're phytonutrients, whatever they might be, and really taking that and incorporating those foods into your diet and learning how to use those techniques, so you're continuously getting sources of antioxidants, phytonutrients, nutrients that your body just needs on a regular basis, is really what functional culinary medicine is. So it's really introducing the concept of whole nutrient dense foods to nourish the body. And we all know food can be medicine. The confusion comes in what food is medicine, right? And that's where you go back to that really mindfulness, right? Everybody is different and everybody responds to food differently. So you can't separate the two, but people don't connect to the two. And I want you to connect the two, because somebody might do really, really well. Like I do great on a plant-based gluten-free diet. My body loves it. Like that's what my body thrives off of. It may or may not work for everybody. They might feel like they don't have energy if they do that. I feel energy if I don't do that, you know? So I think it's about really becoming personalized, paying attention to what your body needs. And at the end of the day, you know, really just eating real unprocessed food.
Well, I love it because, again, I think a lot of even, modern day, a lot of pharmaceuticals, certainly they have their place, but a lot of them evolved from, plants and medicine. And at the end of the day, the body heals itself. And getting back to, it hasn't been that long that a lot of these traditions, and you studied it, so I'd like to hear a little more, came up with some of the remedies that now there's like actual scientific research about, like, even some of the soups, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think like I grew up in a South Asian household where we used a lot of Ayurveda and Ayurvedic remedies, and even like the food lifestyle that Ayurveda supports. So really incorporating spices and ingredients, and some of these foods that I'm used to eating, like when I introduce them to clients in my cooking classes, they're like, I didn't even know this food existed, because and you'd be surprised, the food is available in grocery stores. It's right. Just we're so focused to go to what we know and what we grew up eating, right? So if we don't go outside of that window, we're really missing out on nutrients that our body needs, right? We can't live off of carrots, broccoli, potatoes, ground meat, like there's only so much of that the body then doesn't have these antioxidants and different molecules to combat the free radicals that are attacking our cells and making them age, right? So I think, really looking at setting up your kitchen into a functional culinary medicine kitchen, and using that as your medicine cabinet, right? And going, all right, I need more energy today, so maybe I'm gonna have a food that's rich in B vitamins, or maybe I need something to relax today because it's going to be a stressful day, and like add ashwagandha to your cooking, or throw it in a smoothie or something like that. So just things to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think it is fascinating also. We are the only species that has actually engaged in some sort of processing relative to cooking for obviously thousands of years, and how that plays out with the way, because I feel like what's missing with some of our modern, processed food is they're not prepared properly to take out things that could be harmful, or leaving in nutrients that we actually need, right? The way that we used to actually cook.
Okay, let's just start from the food that is food, like our tomatoes, our veggie, like our oranges. They do not have the nutrients they used to have hundreds of years ago. That's number one.
Yes.
Now, number two, if your diet is predominantly composed of takeout, frozen dinners, like frozen pizza or chicken nuggets. I know I just saw there was a huge recall in chicken nuggets the other day because of the amount of children's chicken nuggets, because of the huge amount of metals found in them, like where there was metals in the processing of a very well-known brand. So I think the food industry is huge, and it's in the hands now of the consumer to go, do I actually want to put this in my body? Because if you follow the system, of eating the school lunches that I grew up on. I grew up in Pennsylvania where I ate those school lunches, to, going to college where you're eating all these like, little places that have popped up on your university campus, to then going and working and sitting in these sedentary lives of just eating stuff that isn't nourishing your body. At some point, a disease will catch up with you. And until you pay attention and go, you know what, I'm not going to let this happen to me, and I'm going to make a change right now. And the first place to change is always your food, because I love food. I'm not telling you to diet. I want you to eat. I just want you to eat real food. So really looking at it in that way, and, just learning some basic skills. I'm just surprised that, God forbid, Uber Eats stopped delivering, people wouldn't know what to do.
I could not agree with you more. And I think because I have young people that, a lot of people are getting food from outside the homes. So I think it's becoming increasingly difficult. And I get young people in their 20s that just, like I'm sure you do, who they don't know why just don't feel well. But because the problem is partly, of course, it's not like you're going to eat one happy meal and be sick. It takes a little while, and people don't always make the connections to their diet. It's always the other stuff.
And I talk about it. I talk a lot about this in my book. It's not what you do some of the time, it's what you do most of the time. Exactly. So yes, there's a Christmas party. Yes, there's a New Year's. Yes, there's a birthday. Go ahead, have your cake. But do not eat the cake every day because there's a birthday party in the office every day, because we know there's a birthday party in the office every day when you work in a big office, right? So really pick and choose, because what you're doing is you're impacting not only your cells, but you're impacting the other creatures that live in your body, which is your microbiome. And your microbiome is part of keeping you healthy or contributing to disease. So you want to keep it healthy. So we're basically host for feeding our microbiome.
Yes, no, exactly. And then the other thing that you seem to do so well in your practice with the cooking classes is helping people a meal plan. So for someone who comes to you, as an example, I'm just thinking of a typical person who just has no idea how to get in the kitchen, has never seen anything that wasn't frozen food. Mm-hmm. And the meal planning and meal prepping and all of that. So what is your magic?
So my magic is really in keeping things as simple as possible, because if somebody tells me they don't have time to be in the kitchen, and they saw like how much time I actually have, like I promise you, I have less time than you to be in the kitchen. And yet I've still figured out how to make sure I'm getting as many nutrients as possible. So really I'm a big fan of meal prepping. I think really paying attention at the beginning of the week, just taking 1 or 2 hours out of the weekend to do your grocery shopping, set up your kitchen for success. Because during the week, I don't have more than 10 minutes to go and prepare something. And using like things like, first of all, what's in season. So that's always going to be the most cost-effective way. Finding the foods that are in season are going to be the freshest, most nutrient dense at that time. But then secondly, if there is something that you want or prefer to eat, going to the organic frozen food aisle can be a quick and easy way, because then you already have your veggies chopped up or your fruits chopped up and clean, that it should be a no-brainer to pull it out. And I'm also a big fan of taking veggies and fruits and turning them into sauces. Like I love making green sauces. So whether that's like from cilantro for a chimichurri, or parsley for a gremolata, or whatever sauce we're going to make, or a curry sauce with coconut curry, and then freezing it. Right, because then you could just pop out these ice cubes that already have a full of flavor, and making it easy as possible, because we're not trying to give you more work to do. Really, nobody has time for that. But at the end, you will find that it creates a type of freedom of how your body works, right? Because all of a sudden now you have energy to go on that hike, or you have energy to go on that weekend trip, or you feel good in your body. And that comes from the small, consistent rituals, right? So if you don't have a ritual of meal planning, hey, maybe that's when you want to start for the new year, you know? So really looking at food, making it as easy as possible, and also doing the color of the rainbow. Like I think that's like step number 3, right? Is how much rainbow can we get? I try and have my patients do the rainbow in a week, because I find it's quite challenging for them to get it in the day. But when you get good at it, like I can do it in a day. Like I have Roy G. Biv on not even a day. I have it in one meal. Like I've gotten so good at it. But that's after kind of years of doing this, right? So you got to start where you're at and make that little change. So 1% today will make you 365% better by the end of the year.
Right, or just challenging yourself to do something new, getting one new vegetable you've never seen and figuring out what to do with it. I love your idea of prepping and freezing those sauces. That is fantastic. But I really feel like this segues back to your point about you were talking about, you know, like the mindful eating. And when you sit down to a meal that you prepared, game changer, right? Don't you think? I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, it's the food tastes better. But also I like that you said like one vegetable at a time, right? So, and if you don't know what to do with it, like we have access to so much stuff online. Go check out a YouTube video, attend. I love going when I go on vacation to different countries, to go to local cooking classes to see how they're using ingredients. I teach cooking classes online, you know, so there's so many ways that you can learn, but it's really up to you if you want to. And and I take it back to, if you believe in the power that you can change your health, and let me tell you, you can. I'm going to tell you right now, you can. In fact, you know, if we consider the process of neuroplasticity, which is basically our brain can change both functionally, chemically, and the way we think can change, and rituals can help you do that. But if we really take that concept, we can then expand the way we live our lives to a more, as I talk about, growth mindset. Right. So when you're fixed and you think, oh, well, I've always been this way, I've always been overweight, I've always not had any energy. That's your mindset. And I think it's chapter 3 in my book. We got to get past the mindset of what you think about yourself, and you understand that we live in this all or nothing world. And I just want you to meet me not even halfway. Let's just start somewhere and head in the right direction, because then it becomes this kind of ripple effect.
Sure, and I'm sure you've had plenty of people that once they changed, you know, what they're eating and adopted all of this, that they didn't realize actually how bad they were feeling until how good they felt, right? Haven't you seen that quite a bit?
Oh, that's the best part. You know, after I tell my patients, in 6 months, I put you through med school in your body, like on your specific body. And they're like, oh, I feel great, but I didn't have any problems to begin with. And I'm like, well, let me pull up our first conversation. And they're like, they can't believe that was
Right.
that, because it's very easy to forget when you feel great. We remember everything when we feel bad, right? Or we're just programmed that way. So that's where, you know, I'm a big fan of journaling. I'm a big fan of seeing the progress on ritual tracking and writing it down, and then seeing how much progress you've made. We actually do that with my clients. We'll look at how many fruits and vegetables and whole grains you're starting with when you start the program versus how many you're ending with. And then there's a very clear correlation between the ones who actually make changes and, you know, do the things they're supposed to do versus the ones who don't. Because when you don't change anything, guess what? All your symptoms are going to be the same.
Yes, it makes sense. You do the same thing. You know, you can't expect a different outcome. So another topic of yours, which is so huge right now, I feel, I mean, so many books and everything, which is on longevity, because clearly clearly we you know, our life expectancy is more due to some good healthcare, but obviously there's a big gap between, you know, the quality of life that we're enjoying in those last, you know, 10 years of life.
Yeah, absolutely. So like longevity to me is very interesting because, you know, you already mentioned some of my specialties. So, you know, I have spent a lot of my career looking at human cells under the microscope. And I look at the process of how these cells go from healthy looking cells to damaged cells, which could be anywhere from something atypical to dysplastic to cancer, you know, and with each progression, the cell just does not work the way it's supposed to. And, you know, that's when you start seeing symptoms. And if you ultimately look at what is longevity, longevity is the opposite of cellular aging. So how, like, it's all connected, right? So how do we not cellularly age? We take care of ourselves. And it's not just what we're putting in our body, it's how we move our body, it's how we sleep, and then of course how we manage our stress. So, you know, I spend quite a bit of time talking about stress management techniques with my patients. And in fact, I even do retreats where I love to get in this immersive experience where it's like people forget what it feels like to be like, to have their body just feel so good, right? And, you know, I'm not telling everybody that they have to meditate, because there's so many different types of meditation you can do, from, you know, walking meditations to even a running meditation to a quiet meditation. But what I love about meditation is that it can influence gene expression and your response to stress and aging. Isn't that amazing? That just like some sort of meditation, and you'd be surprised what some of my forms of meditation are. Being the cytopathologist that I am, so that is,
I've heard of that before. That
yeah. So cytopathology is a subspecialty of pathology. Pathology is where we diagnose the diseases. So any disease that's been diagnosed is coming from a pathologist. It's not coming from your clinician when it's a laboratory. So when it's whether it's a blood sample, whether it's a tissue biopsy, whether it's a colon removal or breast removal, whatever it is, the pathologist is the one who gives you the answers. And but one of my favorite meditative things is I love looking at thyroid FNA slides. Like, so when a woman or a man has a thyroid nodule and it is greater than a centimeter, it is usually biopsied. And the procedure for the biopsy is something we call an FNA, or fine needle aspiration biopsy. And it's a very small needle. I do it on patients, you know, under ultrasound, and we're taking out a few little cells. And the cells go onto a slide that we then stain with these different stains, depending on what kind of features we want to look at, whether it's a pap stain, a Diff-Quick stain. But nevertheless, we stick it under the microscope. So now I have this, maybe, I never even measured the size, but it's maybe about like a 1 inch by 3 inch glass slide that I'm looking at under the microscope. And I'm literally going like this under the microscope, looking cell by cell to see the subtleties in, does this person have cancer or not? And to me, it's very meditative, because I'm focused and I'm calm, and I'm like just looking at this. Well, first of all, it looks very pretty under the microscope, except for when you get angry cells that are cancer. But my point in all this is that meditation can be whatever helps relax your body.
Well, that is a wonderful definition, because I do think what relaxes one person is very different from another. But I mean, it sounds like what you're talking about, obviously all the research on telomeres. And so other than meditation, now, is there a specific foods or nutrients that you suggest that could help with longevity?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you 2 more for stress management techniques. So
yes.
Yeah,
Definitely. You can use
so
them.
I am a yoga medicine therapeutic specialist. So I have 500 plus hours in yoga teacher training, and specifically from a therapeutic point of view. And I am somebody who was not flexible and could not touch my toes. So for somebody to say, oh, I can't do yoga because I can't touch my toes, I want you to understand that yoga is not about touching your toes. Yoga is really, it's helping you do these asanas or physical postures and have some control over your breath when you're doing it. And when you're doing that, what's happening in your body is you're lowering cortisol, our stress hormone, which everybody's cortisol is on fire right now. Beyond fire, it's like burning up in flames, right? And so this practice, even if you just do 5 minutes, it's going to be beneficial for you. And you don't even have to change your clothes. You can do it in your bedroom, in your pajamas, hop on a video. In fact, you can even pop on one of our videos and, just do a practice and start getting in that more relaxed state, because this is going to help you think more clearly. So it's going to improve your mental clarity. It's going to improve your emotional resilience. So to deal with stressful events when, say, a presentation gets lost or something is not working, right? So there's many reasons to kind of do these practices, even if it's just a little bit on a regular basis. And then the third one I want to give you, which is a quick, easy way to disrupt this stress response, is breathing, right? So deep breathing. So that instantly, so if you just take a moment to just pause, and whether you do the 4-7-8 breath or just do some simple inhales and exhales, that can disrupt what's going on in that stressful situation, which is really, really good and easy to do. But as for foods, for longevity, I really come back to eating the rainbow, eating lots of antioxidant rich foods. I'm a big fan of different colors of foods, right? So whether you're eating, lycopene rich foods like watermelon, or you're eating blueberries that have anthocyanins in them. So just really looking at the colors, or dark leafy greens, right? So making sure you're getting all the colors, and not so much white. Like, I love white, but I always tell people, just wear white. Like, don't eat so much white. Like, our diet is very overly white.
What about mushrooms?
Oh, absolutely. So
mushrooms, because they seem to, they're putting it in coffee, and I don't know what you think about coffee, but do you want to touch on that? But they're infusing it with everything. Mushrooms.
yeah, so the mushrooms we're talking about are going to be your Asian mushrooms. So as I describe it to my patients, I'm always like, all right, there's all kinds of mushrooms. You can eat the portobello, baby bella, cremini, those are fine. I consider those like my Toyota Ford, reliable. You can get them anywhere kind of mushrooms. But if you really want all the health benefits, this is where we're going into the Asian mushrooms, and the ones that have this immune supporting benefit. So those are your shiitake, your maitake, your nake, your lion's mane, great for cognition and brain health. In fact, I've even found, yes, you're right, there's coffees now that have mushrooms in them, but also I have found that there's chocolates that have mushrooms in them, right? So
hey, I'm in. Sign me up. What about
exactly.
chocolate?
I'm a sucker for finding a chocolate that has some other extra ingredient in it, because then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll eat this. So just something to keep in mind. I think the other day I found a chocolate that had Panax ginseng in it. I found another one that has Shashandra berries in it. Yeah, so and those aren't mushrooms, by the way, but those are just great herbs for your brain and stress. But really taking that food as medicine and saying, all right, can we step it up a notch? Because when I'm in my kitchen, I'm going, all right, I've got this meal. This looks great. what could I add to it to make it even better? So I'll like, open my little magical drawer of herbs and spices, and I'll be like, oh, this could use some moringa powder, or this could use some ashwagandha in my curry, or this could use some amla, or this could use some red beet powder. Just being creative, like the kitchen is your laboratory, just like your life is your laboratory. Like just play with it.
I love it. I'd love to know your opinion, because I bought, it was more reasonably priced. But it was a big thing of dehydrated all of these mushrooms. And so they're dehydrated, and then there's nothing other ingredient, and then you just rehydrate them when you're using them. Would that be okay, you think?
Yeah, it depends what kind they are. I often see dehydrated shiitake mushrooms in Asian stores, and those are great to throw in a miso soup and rehydrate them back up and have that throughout the day, which miso soup, by the way, is great for your gut. So it's a perfect like alternative if you're getting tired of having the coffee and tea all day, to just drink some miso soup.
Yeah, I love that. What about teas? Teas, to me, I always say that's the first beverage of of humans, right?
Yeah,
Oldest.
so green tea, herbal teas. So green tea contains L-theanine and ego-galactocatechins, which are great for the brain, great for relaxation as well. So having green tea can decrease inflammation. It's a great source of antioxidants for the body. So it's definitely on the plan for lowering inflammation and disease.
I love it. All right, we need to talk about sleep. To me, I mean, it goes hand in hand with stress, but I am just guessing you have some rituals that are associated with this.
Yeah. So sleep is interesting because for some people, it's not about getting to sleep. It's about staying asleep. For some people, it's that they just can't fall asleep. So you really got to look at what is your, like, I love sleep. I just
Yeah.
love it. It's like a priority for me. But sleep rituals, depending on what works for your body, I think that's where that experimentation lab comes in. Hot showers and baths really work for me, whereas for some people, they might wake them up. For me, I'm out, like I'll because it changes my body temperature in a way where it makes me want to be more relaxed and sleep. So that is a regular ritual. Infrared saunas is another ritual that I utilize for sleep, or doing an infrared mat.
Now, do you have to do it at night, or could you do it in the morning?
You can do it during the day. And actually, I recommend you test out when it works for you. Because for some people, it might actually, because an infrared sauna can be a cardiovascular boost. So for some people, it's like getting them like they're doing a workout. So then it takes them too long to go to bed. So really, it depends on the individual. And that comes back to creating that self-awareness, paying attention to what you're doing and what it's doing to your body.
Right. No, that is great. And also with the morning and waking up, and what is your opinion on coffee?
Yeah, so I do my morning latte in the morning. I do have a coffee in the morning, which I'm
Happy to hear.
yeah, which I'm actually debating if that's something I don't want to do for the new year. I haven't quite decided yet. I always like make one major shift in the new year, and that would require me to be more diligent, which maybe I create that ritual of making my green matcha latte in the morning. It obviously takes longer than my coffee latte, but I don't think it would take that much longer. So I do coffee. My morning ritual really consists of a number of different beverages, from a latte. I mean, most of my morning is spent with beverages. So latte, water to start the day for rehydration. Lemon water for me doesn't really work. So I just do regular room temperature or warm water. I do have a concoction of some herbs that I drink in the morning. A number of different herbs. I have another concoction of mushroom powder, and then so I have a number of concoctions. I have like a whole buffet of drinks set up.
I love it. Well, that's great. Well, certainly, well, one thing I would take away from that is that, and I think this is from obviously your all of your training, but something warm is preferable. Would you agree with that in the
Yeah,
morning?
absolutely. In Ayurveda, really to start and keep your digestive fire, cold or ice drinks really put out that fire. So in the morning, if you really want to start getting your digestion moving, and especially get it moving without the caffeine, like if you have issues with your gut and stuff, I'd recommend not the caffeine and just really starting with warm water. In fact, I'm a big fan of CCF tea, which is actually not even a tea because we don't use tea leaves in it, but it's a cumin, coriander, fennel. So it's 3 spices that you
Wow.
blend together, and it's great for bloating, indigestion, making the gut kind of do what it needs to do, is another great one, that you can incorporate. So once again, we come back to the rituals are what you make them, and you just have to learn about, like, all right, let me experiment with this and see how I feel about this for a couple of days. How is it working on my body? Did it help me? Did it not help me? And really paying attention to that cellular functionality, like, is my body yelling at me? Is it screaming at me? Or is it going, yeah, I love this?
Oh, well, this is wonderful. You gave us so much information today, and I will put links to everyone can get into contact with you. Of course, your book, but also doing your online classes, I think is fantastic, and the yoga and anything else that I missed. But you have a lot of offerings, but to me, this seems like a must read for the table. I'm very excited to be introduced to it. I'm excited. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for having me here.
Okay.